Okay, this lesson is on vertical and horizontal lines that are parallel or perpendicular. Let's talk about parallel and perpendicular first. Parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines that do not intersect. Here's an example of two parallel lines. These are two vertical parallel lines. Notice that they don't intersect. They keep going in the same direction, so therefore they will never intersect. They're always going to be the same distance apart. So these are two parallel lines that are vertical. Here are two parallel lines that are horizontal. Again, the distance is always the same in between the lines. These lines will never intersect. Okay. Perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines intersect at a 90-degree angle. So this is a 90-degree angle right here. It's also called a right angle. So in this case, we have an example of a horizontal line and a vertical line, which are perpendicular. So any horizontal line is always perpendicular to any other vertical line. So if we're talking about parallel and perpendicular lines, if they're perpendicular, one has to be vertical and one has to be horizontal for perpendicular lines. Okay. Let's just go through equations of vertical and horizontal lines. Determine the equation of a vertical line through 5, 3. It's not always necessary to do a graph for a problem, but sometimes it helps us to understand what we're looking for. Okay, so let's graph 5, 3. 5, so 5 over to the right, and then 3 up, about right there. And we want a vertical line, so draw in a vertical line. What is the equation of that vertical line? X equals 5. Remember that it's always x equals a number. Wherever it crosses the x-axis, that's that number for any vertical line. So if we want a vertical line, we simply look at the first value, and it will be x equals that number for a vertical line. If we wanted a horizontal line, it would always be y equals the y value. Okay, so for this one, the answer was x equals 5. Let's go to another one. Determine the equation of a horizontal line through -2, 4. Let's plot that point. -2, 4. About right there. And while you're going through this lesson, you might always want to pause, work it out for yourself, and then put it back on play to see if you have the right answer. -2, 4, so we want a horizontal line. Drawing a horizontal line through that. What is the equation of a horizontal line? It's always y equals a number, and that number is wherever it intersects the y-axis. So where does it intersect the y-axis? Yeah, right here. Y equals 4. So just looking at the point that we have, if we want a horizontal line, it's always going to be y equals the y value of the point. On the last problem, it was a vertical line, so it was x equals a number. So y equals 4. Okay. Now we're making a little bit more involved. Determine the equation of a line through -2, 3, -2, -3, and parallel to x equals 5. Well, let's make a picture of this. We want an equation that goes through this point, -2, -3. So plot -2, so 2 to the left and then 3 down. So we want a line that goes through this point and is parallel to x equals 5. Well, what does the line x equals 5 look like? Let me go to 5 on the x-axis and draw a vertical line. Okay, so if it's parallel to that line, what does our line have to look like? If it's parallel, it means it has to have the same slope. What kind of line is parallel to a vertical line? Another vertical line. So the line that we desire is a vertical line that goes through this point. So we need the equation of this line. If it's a vertical line, it's always x equals, and it's x equals the number it goes through. What value does it go through? Right, -2. So there's not a lot of work to do. You didn't even have to do this graph. You could have just said parallel to an x number, parallel to x equals 5, which is a vertical line. So a line that's parallel to a vertical line is another vertical line. So if we want a vertical line, it's x equals -2. If we desired a horizontal line, then it would be y equals -3. So we just have to decide, is the line that we desire a vertical line or a horizontal line? If it's vertical, it's x equals. If it's horizontal, it's y equals. So this one was parallel to x equals 5, therefore it's x equals -2. Okay, here's our next one. This time it contains the point 1, 4 and parallel to y equals -1. So you don't have to draw it out, but we're going to do it anyways. It's parallel to y equals -1. What does the graph of y equals -1 look like? Is it horizontal or is it vertical? It's horizontal. So if we want a line that's parallel to a horizontal line, is that going to be parallel? Sorry, let me say that again. If we want a line that's parallel to a horizontal line, will that be another horizontal line or a vertical line? Right, it will be another horizontal line, which is y equals a number. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot the point 1, 4. There's 1, 4. Let's graph y equals -1. There's the graph of y equals -1. So since it's parallel, it has to be also horizontal. So this is our line. What's the equation of it? A horizontal line is always y equals whatever number it intersects at the y-axis, which in this case is 4. So therefore our answer is y equals 4, which is the y value right here. Let's do another one. This time we want an equation that goes through the point -1, 3 and perpendicular to y equals 2. Remember, if we're talking about perpendicular, then the lines have to be opposite. One will be vertical and one will be horizontal. So if they're parallel, they're either both vertical or both horizontal. But if they're perpendicular, one has to be vertical and the other horizontal. So let's plot this point -1, 3. There's -1, 3. And we'll graph y equals 2. There's y equals 2, which is a horizontal line. So if we want a line that's perpendicular, is it going to be vertical or horizontal? It must be vertical. So if we draw a vertical line, Now, what's the equation of a vertical line? It's always x equals and whatever it goes through. So it will be x equals -1. So for perpendicular, if it's y equals here, it has to be x equals, it'll be x equals the first value. If this was an x equals a number here, then it would be y equals the number. It has to be the opposite. So our answer is x equals -1. Let's do another one. This one goes through 5, 2 and perpendicular to the x-axis. So let's plot 5, 2. Right about there. Now, perpendicular, that means it has to be opposite. What does the x-axis look like? Well, the x-axis is right here, and it's a horizontal line. So what kind of line are we going to draw? Right, we're going to draw a vertical line because it says perpendicular. So what's the equation of this vertical line? You got it. X equals 5. Alright, that's the last problem. I'll see you here for the next video.